The unexpected war. Rain poured over the scorched ruins of Outpost Delta. Smoke rose from the broken towers, and the ground was littered with twisted metal and broken hopes. The battle had ended just hours ago, but the silence that followed was worse than the chaos before. Jace Morgan moved carefully through the rubble. His rifle hung on his back, useless now. He wasn't a soldier, just a mechanic from Earth who got stuck in a war that wasn't his. The Galactic Coalition said they were protecting peace, but all Jace saw was destruction. And now he was just trying to survive. He had come back to his small supply station, hoping to find tools or maybe something edible. What he didn't expect to find was her. Half buried under the debris was a figure, slender, still breathing. Not human. Jace dropped to his knees, brushing aside the ash and broken panels. It was a girl. No, a female alien. Her skin shimmered faintly in the dim light, like moonlight dancing on water. She was hurt, her breathing shallow, her clothes torn. But her eyes slowly opened, glowing softly with panic and confusion. "Hey," Jace whispered, hands raised, showing her he wasn't a threat. "I'm not gonna hurt you." She blinked, her lips parted, but no sound came. Her throat was dry. He offered his canteen, and she drank like she hadn't seen water in days. She was beautiful in a strange way, graceful, fragile, with markings on her skin like silver vines. Jace had heard stories about her kind, the Velari, rare, peaceful, and almost wiped out when the war reached their colony. "What's your name?" he asked. She struggled, then whispered, "Sira." That one word broke something inside him. She was scared, alone, and clearly not part of this war. Jace looked around. He couldn't leave her here. She wouldn't survive. He didn't think twice. He carried her through the rain, back to the hidden shelter he built weeks ago. It was a small cave beneath the cliffs, reinforced with old metal sheets and camo netting. No one knew about it, not even the patrols. Sira was weak, barely able to walk. He laid her down on the cot and wrapped a blanket around her. She shivered, not from cold, but from fear. "It's okay," he said softly. "You're safe here." For days, Jace nursed her back to health. He cooked simple food, helped her clean her wounds, and gave her space. Sira didn't talk much, but her eyes followed him everywhere. She watched the way he fixed things, the way he protected the small fire, the way he stayed up at night just to make sure nothing came near. She began to trust him. One night, while they sat near the small flame, Sira finally spoke more. "You saved me," she said. Jace smiled. "I just couldn't leave you behind. In my culture," she paused, as if unsure, "when someone gives shelter during the season of need, it means something." Jace raised an eyebrow. "Season of what?" She lowered her gaze. "It's mating season, when we're vulnerable, when our instincts awaken, and if someone offers safety, we see it as a bond." He froze. "Wait, so you're saying?" She looked up at him. "I must take you as my mate." His heart skipped. Was she serious? Jace laughed nervously. "You don't have to do that. I was just helping." But Sira shook her head. "It's not just choice. It's law. Sacred. You gave me refuge. Now I belong to you." The fire crackled between them, and the air grew heavy. Jace didn't know what to say. He had just saved a life, but now it might change his own forever. Outside, the sound of distant engines echoed through the valley. The war wasn't over yet, and someone was coming. The bond that wasn't meant to be. Jace stayed quiet for a long time. He stared at the small fire between them, listening to the soft wind blowing outside the cave. Sira's words still echoed in his mind. "Now I belong to you." It wasn't the kind of thing a guy expected to hear after saving someone. He glanced at her. She sat cross-legged on the blanket, eyes glowing faintly in the dark. Her body was healing fast. The Velari were strong that way. But this mating season, this ancient law, it felt too big, too sudden. I didn't save you for that, Jace said finally, voice low. You don't owe me anything. Syra didn't blink. That's not how it works in my culture. You gave me shelter during my most vulnerable time. You protected me without touching me. That makes you worthy. He sighed. But I'm just a mechanic, not some chosen one. She tilted her head, confused. You're human. You don't understand. My people, they believe in instinct, emotion, and my body has chosen you. Jace rubbed his face with both hands. This was too much. He had planned to survive this war, fix broken machines, maybe return to Earth one day, not bond with a beautiful alien girl who thought she was now his mate. He stood up. Look, Syra, you're safe here. I'll keep helping you, but you're free to choose your own path. She looked away then, her voice quieter. You already chose for both of us, the moment you picked me up from the ruins. Outside, the night grew darker, but something shifted in the silence. Suddenly, Jace's wrist alarm blinked red. Motion detected. He rushed to the small crack in the rock that served as a lookout. Far down the valley, faint lights moved, hovering drones, scanning the wreckage from the sky. Coalition searchers, or worse, scavengers. Syra, hide, he whispered sharply. She didn't hesitate. She slid silently behind the storage crates. Her body moved like a shadow, graceful, controlled. Jace quickly covered the entrance with a blackout tarp and shut off the fire. They sat in the darkness, breaths held. The humming of the drones grew louder. Jace's heart pounded. If anyone found this shelter, they'd take her away. She was a rare alien female from a dying species. He knew what greedy hands would do if they caught her. He clenched his fists. No, I won't let that happen. Minutes passed like hours. Then, finally, the sounds drifted away. The danger passed. Jace exhaled and turned to check on her. Syra was crouched quietly, watching him with those glowing eyes. You didn't run, she said softly. He gave her a tired smile. I don't run from what matters. Something in her expression softened. Her fingers gently reached out, almost like she wanted to touch his face. But she pulled back. You still don't understand, do you? She whispered. You think you saved me, but I think I was meant for you. Jace looked at her, his mind torn between logic and something he didn't want to admit. The way she looked at him wasn't just instinct. It wasn't just about mating season. It was something else. Connection. But the danger wasn't over. Not yet. We have to move, he said. This place isn't safe anymore. We'll leave at sunrise. Where will we go? Jace stared into the dark tunnel behind the shelter. Somewhere even the Coalition won't go. Old mining caverns. Deep and forgotten. She nodded. No hesitation. She trusted him completely. As they prepared to leave, Jace glanced at the old datapad he carried. A new message had come through. Wanted. Villari female. High bounty. Dead or alive. The picture was blurry, but the silver markings were clear. It was Syra. Jace's jaw clenched. So that was it. Someone had put a price on her head. She wasn't just rare. She was hunted. He looked back at her as she packed quietly. Fragile, beautiful, unaware of the danger closing in. She thought she had chosen him. But now he would have to choose her again and again, no matter the cost. A price on her head. The world outside was still dark when Jace and Syra left the cave. The cold air stung their faces, but they didn't stop. Jace had packed only what they needed. Rations, water, tools, and a small energy blade. Everything else was left behind. Syra moved quietly beside him, her eyes always scanning the shadows. She didn't speak much, but Jace could feel her fear growing. Not because of the cold, but because of the silence. A silence that hunted. They reached the edge of the cliff before sunrise. From there, the remains of the battlefield stretched across the horizon. Broken ships, blackened earth, and empty silence. But something had changed. Smoke curled from the wreckage far below. Someone was already searching. Jace took out his old datapad again and stared at the bounty message. Target: Velari female. Reward: 100,000 credits. Alive: 50,000. Dead. Status: Priority Level 3. Dangerous Species Act. Report sightings to Coalition Enforcement. He didn't let Sierra see the screen. She didn't need to know she was worth more than most people made in 10 years. They followed a narrow path down into the canyon. The deeper they went, the darker the sky became. Dust filled the air, and strange metal shapes stuck out of the rocks like bones from a dead creature. This was the edge of the old mining sector. Jace had come here once, years ago, when he was a scavenger looking for rare tech. No one came anymore. It was too unstable, too deep, too forgotten. Perfect for hiding. Sierra finally spoke after hours of silence. You're troubled. Jace nodded. You're being hunted. She stopped walking. I know. He looked at her, surprised. I felt it, she said softly. The moment I woke up, that something was chasing me. It's why I ran from the battlefield. Do you know who wants you? She shook her head. But I know why. I'm not just a Velari. I'm the last daughter of the House of Nitha. Jace frowned. What's that? A royal bloodline. My mother ruled the second moon of Velar Prime. When the war began, we were told to stay hidden. But they found us anyway. My sisters, my mother. She paused. Her voice cracked. They're all gone. Jace felt his chest tighten. So she wasn't just rare. She was royalty. And now, the only one left. He couldn't imagine what that kind of loss felt like. But he understood something else. There were people out there who didn't want her alive. Not just bounty hunters, but people who feared what she represented. Hope. Legacy. He kept walking, leading her deeper into the mine. The tunnels opened into a huge chamber where the ceiling disappeared into darkness. There was no power, no tech, just old rock and echoes. This'll be safe for now, he said. They set up camp in one of the side rooms, once used for storing tools. Jace placed a motion sensor at the entrance. It wasn't much, but it was all he had. Sierra sat down beside a broken crate and curled her legs beneath her. If they find me, she whispered, they'll erase everything my people were. Jace crouched in front of her. They won't. Not while I'm here. She looked at him, her eyes wide. Why are you doing this, Jace? You don't know me. You could have left me back there. I don't leave people behind, he said simply. And I don't care what they say you are. I see who you are. Silence fell between them. Then Sierra leaned forward, her voice barely a breath. Then let me belong to you. Not because of instinct or tradition, but because you want me. Jace stared at her. He felt something shift inside him. This wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about something deeper. Something real. But just as he opened his mouth to respond, the motion sensor blinked red. Movement. Entrance breached. Jace's hand flew to his blade. Sierra stood, her eyes glowing in fear. The hunters had found them. And this time, they weren't coming for mercy. Hunted in the dark. The blinking red light on the motion sensor was small, but to Jace, it was as loud as an explosion. They're here, he whispered. Sierra's body tensed. Her glowing eyes searched the shadows beyond the cave walls. She didn't speak. She didn't need to. Her fear said everything. Jace grabbed his old rifle. It barely had a full charge left, but it was all he had. He motioned for her to move behind the rock stack in the far corner. It was the only place that might hide her from what was coming. The tunnel outside echoed with faint sounds. Steps. Careful. Slow. Not wild animals. People. Jace turned off the sensor light and crouched low. His heart beat so hard he could hear it in his ears. He had no backup. No communication. Just himself and a Velari girl everyone wanted dead or captured. A shadow moved near the tunnel entrance, then another. Jace saw the glow of a visor. Hunters. They wore matte black armor, silent boots, low-light helmets, and pulse rifles. Not coalition soldiers. No, these were freelancers, paid killers. One of them scanned the walls with a small tracker. "Heat trail ends here," he said in a gruff voice. "She's close." Jace held his breath. He couldn't take on all three, but if he didn't do something, they'd find her. He picked up a small chunk of metal and threw it into the far side tunnel. It clattered loudly. All three hunters turned at once. There. Two of them ran after the sound, weapons raised. Jace didn't wait. He leaped from his hiding spot, tackled the third hunter, and drove his shoulder into the man's chest. They slammed into the wall. The man shouted, but Jace didn't give him a chance. He slammed the butt of his rifle into the hunter's helmet, once, twice, until the visor cracked and the man dropped. The other two heard it. "Contact." One shouted, "He's not alone." They turned back. Jace grabbed the downed hunter's rifle and fired blindly, forcing them to take cover. He ran back to the chamber, gasping. "Syrah, move." She didn't argue. She sprinted behind him, her silver markings glowing as she moved. They ran through the narrow passage, deeper into the mine. The air grew colder, the walls tighter. The sound of boots echoed behind them. One of the hunters fired. The beam hit the wall near Jace's head. Rock shattered. Dust flew. He stumbled but kept going. Syrah suddenly turned and placed her palm on a nearby panel. Ancient Velari tech responded to her touch. The wall shifted, slowly, grinding open like stone sliding on stone. A hidden door. "Hurry," she called. They slipped through. The wall closed behind them. Silence. Darkness. Only their breathing filled the space. What is this place?" Jace asked. Syrah looked around. The room was large, with symbols glowing faintly on the walls. The air felt heavier, warmer. It was ancient, untouched. "A sacred chamber," she said softly. "From before the wars. My ancestors built places like this to survive the darkness." Jace collapsed against the wall, panting. "You had a hidden door this whole time." "I didn't know. Until now." My body remembered. She moved toward a tall stone pillar and touched it. A soft hum filled the room. Lights flickered on, dim, blue, alive. "I was trained in these halls as a child," she whispered. "This was a place for young queens to learn. I never thought I'd see it again." Jace looked at her, standing proud and strong among the glowing walls. For the first time, he didn't see a girl who needed saving. He saw a queen. Suddenly, her body swayed. "Syrah." He caught her as she fell. Her skin was too warm, her breath shallow. "What's wrong?" She looked at him, her voice weak. "The mating season. It's growing stronger. My body. It's fighting to survive." Jace held her close, panic rising in his chest. She needed rest. She needed safety. But now he understood. This wasn't just about hiding from bounty hunters. It was about keeping her alive. Through something deeper, something sacred, something her kind couldn't ignore. And he was the only one she trusted. Outside the hidden door, footsteps echoed again. The hunters were searching. Closer. Jace looked down at the girl in his arms. He had given her refuge. But now he would fight for her right to live. Heartbeat between worlds. Jace held her tightly. Syrah's body trembled in his arms. Her silver skin was too warm, her breath uneven. She was strong, but something inside her was struggling, pulling her away from herself. "It's the season," she whispered. "We don't control it, it controls us." Her voice was faint, like a whisper fading into wind. Jace carried her to the glowing platform in the center of the chamber. He laid her down gently. Strange symbols lit up around her body. The air shimmered like something ancient was waking up. "What's happening?" he asked. Syrah opened her eyes slowly. "This place, it recognizes my blood. It's trying to help me, guide me." The symbols moved like light flowing through water. Jace didn't understand the language, but he felt something. Alive. "She's activating the Queen's right," a voice whispered behind him. Jace spun around, raising his weapon. A tall figure stepped from the shadows of the chamber, armor black as space, face hidden behind a smooth helmet. "I wouldn't shoot, human," the voice said calmly. "This chamber is sacred. Weapons will only bring destruction." "Who are you?" Jace demanded. The figure stepped closer, unbothered. "A guardian. Once. Now a watcher. I protect the bloodline. What's left of it." Jace didn't lower the rifle. "Then help her." The figure tilted their head. "You already have." "What does that mean?" The stranger looked at Syrah, who lay on the glowing stone, her chest rising and falling slowly. "She's not just going through the cycle. She's entering the bonding phase. And you are the bond." Jace's hand shook. "I didn't ask for this." "No," the figure said, "but she did. Even if she doesn't remember, her instincts chose you. Now, your heartbeat is linked to hers." Jace blinked. "What?" "Touch her chest. You'll feel it." Hesitant, he knelt beside her and placed his hand gently over her heart. Thump. Then, thump thump. His own heartbeat matched hers. Jace pulled his hand back, stunned. "What does this mean?" The figure stepped closer. "If she dies, part of you will die too. And if you abandon her now, her body will break apart from within." Jace's chest felt heavy. This wasn't just about hiding anymore. It was about choosing to stay. "I didn't want this," he whispered. "No," the stranger said softly. "But sometimes we don't choose love. It chooses us." Before Jace could respond, a loud crash echoed through the chamber. The hidden wall behind them exploded open, rock flying, metal groaning. The hunters had found the door. Blinding lights flooded the sacred room. "Target located," a hunter shouted. Jace stood in front of Syrah, arms spread wide. "You're not taking her." The lead hunter stepped forward, gun aimed. "Step aside, human. That's a royal bounty. She belongs to the coalition now." Jace didn't move. "I said move," the hunter yelled. Suddenly, the ground trembled beneath them. Light burst from the floor beneath Syrah, shooting upward like a pillar of energy. Ancient symbols on the walls blazed with power. The room came alive. The hunters stepped back in fear. "What the hell is happening?" one of them yelled. The dark figure, the guardian, stood tall, armor glowing faintly. "You fools, you entered a living chamber. She's being chosen. And you are not welcome here." The walls began to hum. The air turned hot. Jace could feel something powerful rising from deep below the surface, something ancient, protective. "Run," the guardian whispered. The hunters opened fire, but their shots bounced off invisible walls of light. Then came the sound, a pulse so loud it dropped everyone to their knees. Syrah's eyes flew open, glowing with white-blue light. Her body rose slowly from the platform, floating. She looked at Jace, right into his soul. Her voice was soft, but it echoed in the chamber like thunder. "I choose you." Jace didn't speak. He didn't need to. He stepped forward and reached for her hand. And the light accepted him, the mate of a queen. The light wrapped around them like silk. Jace couldn't feel the ground beneath his feet. He stood inside the glow, holding Syrah's hand. Her eyes locked with his. Her body floated just above the stone, and yet she felt real, warm, alive, more than ever before. She was no longer just a girl seeking refuge. She was a queen being awakened. "You have entered the right," a deep voice spoke, not from the chamber, but from inside Jace's mind. He blinked. "What is this?" The symbols on the walls began to spin, slow at first, then faster. They floated through the air like glowing leaves in a storm. Around him, the ancient voices of the Velari echoed, speaking words he couldn't understand, yet somehow felt. "The bond is now complete," the Guardian said, stepping closer from the shadows. "You are no longer just her protector. You are part of her soul." Sarah slowly floated down, her feet touching the stone again. The glow faded from her eyes, and her knees buckled. Jace caught her gently. She looked up at him, her voice soft. "It's done. We're linked." He nodded, even though he didn't fully understand what had just happened. His heart still raced, not from fear, but from something deeper. A connection he couldn't break. But outside the sacred moment, the threat still waited. One of the hunters groaned, crawling up from the rubble of the collapsed wall. His helmet sparked, his weapon broken, but his voice was sharp with fury. "She's marked now. She's officially bound," he growled. "That makes her even more valuable." Jace stepped in front of Syrah again. "No," said the Guardian coldly. "Now she's untouchable." The hunter laughed, wiping blood from his chin. "We'll see how long that lasts. The entire coalition will come when they hear what happened here." He pulled a small beacon from his belt. "Stop," Jace shouted. Too late. The hunter pressed the button. A pulse of red light shot into the air, through the tunnels, past the surface. A signal. A call. Now they knew where she was. Now they would come. The Guardian walked slowly to the hunter and looked down at him with pity. "You have no idea what you've done." Then he raised his arm, and with one smooth motion, released a wave of blue light from his palm. The hunter dropped to the ground, unconscious. "Come," the Guardian said quickly. "There's little time. You must leave this place." Jace helped Syrah to her feet. "She's still weak. She'll recover. But not if they trap her here. You must go now." "Go where?" Jace asked. The Guardian turned toward the rear of the chamber. A path lit up, ancient, narrow, and filled with unknowns. "There's one last sanctuary, deep in the sunless zone, where no signal reaches, a place where the Velari stored the last of their memories." Cyrus spoke weakly. "The archive." The Guardian nodded. "You know it." "I was never allowed to go there," she whispered. "You must now. It holds the only truth that can protect your bloodline. And the one you've chosen." Jace tightened his grip on her hand. "We'll go." But as they turned toward the glowing path, the ground above them rumbled. Dust fell from the ceiling. Cracks opened in the ancient stone. "They're coming fast," the Guardian said. Jace looked up. "How do we stop them?" The Guardian stared straight ahead. "You don't. You survive. That's how you win." Syrah reached for Jace's shoulder. Her strength was returning. Her voice was clear now. "We have to go. I trust you. With everything." Jace looked at her. He had been a scavenger. A mechanic. A nobody. Now he was the chosen mate of a Velari queen. And every enemy in the galaxy wanted to take her from him. He pulled her close and whispered, "Then let's disappear, together." With one last look at the chamber, they stepped into the glowing path. Behind them, the light dimmed. Ahead of them, darkness waited. But inside their joined hearts, something brighter had begun. The last light of Velari. The path glowed beneath their feet, but ahead, there was only darkness. Jace held Syrah's hand as they walked deeper into the earth. The light of the sacred chamber faded behind them, swallowed by the tunnel's curve. Cold wind whispered through the stone walls, ancient and quiet. "How much farther?" Jace asked. Syrah's voice was stronger now, steady. "Not far. The archive is close. I can feel it." Their bodies ached. They hadn't rested in hours, but neither of them stopped. The fear of being caught, of losing everything, kept them moving. After what felt like forever, the tunnel opened into a wide cavern. And there it was, the Velari archive. It looked like a city built underground, a dome of crystal and metal, glowing faintly with blue light. Towers reached up into the darkness, covered in ancient symbols. Everything felt alive, but also asleep. Jace stepped forward slowly. "What is this place?" Syra's eyes shone with awe. "This is where my people stored their history, their knowledge, and their future. The last light of Filari." She walked to the center of the dome, placing her hand on a glowing panel. It pulsed under her touch, and the air shifted. Holograms rose all around them, floating images of Filari people, cities, ships, laughter. And then, war, fire, death, silence. All of it recorded. All of it real. Jace looked around, overwhelmed. "You were going to lose all of this." Syra nodded. "I still might." "No," Jace said firmly. "Not while I'm here." The archive responded to her presence. A new panel rose from the floor. Symbols blinked on it, waiting. "It wants me to choose," she said quietly. "If I activate the final seed, it will send all this knowledge into space, somewhere far from here, to be found by someone. Someday." Jace looked at her. "But if you do that," she finished his thought, "the archive will collapse. It was built to hide, not fight. It will bury itself to protect what's inside." A long silence followed. And then came the sound they both feared. A rumble from above. Jace turned sharply. "They found us." Syra stepped back from the panel. "We don't have time." A large crack opened in the ceiling. Dust rained down. Voices echoed. Boots. Weapons charging. Jace looked at Syra. Her face was calm now. Peaceful, even. "I know what I must do," she said. "But I need you to leave." "No." He shook his head. "I'm not going anywhere. If you stay, you'll be buried here. I'd rather be buried than abandon you." Her voice dropped to a whisper. "You really mean that?" He stepped forward, took her hand, and placed it over his heart. "You chose me. Now I choose you." Tears welled in her eyes. "Then we do this together." She turned back to the panel, entered the sequence. The archive responded instantly. Lights flashed. A pillar of white-blue energy burst into the dome's center, rising high into the cavern. It was the final seed. Data, history, language, soul, shooting toward the stars. Above them, the ceiling cracked open. But this time, something changed. The cavern shook, but instead of collapsing, parts of the archive folded inward, forming a shield around the center. Syra's eyes widened. "It's protecting us." Jace pulled her close as the energy rose higher, brighter. Outside, the hunters tried to break in, but the wall sealed shut. The archive had accepted her. The queen had returned, and it wasn't going to let her die. Minutes passed. Then the light dimmed. Silence. Jace slowly opened his eyes. He and Syra stood in the center of the archive. Everything around them was still. They were alive. Syra looked up, stunned. "It saved us, because it saw the bond. It knew I wasn't alone anymore." Jace smiled. "Maybe love is stronger than war." She leaned into him, resting her head against his chest. "You gave me more than refuge, Jace. You gave me hope." He held her tighter. "You gave me something too. A reason to stay." Far above them, through the cracks in the rocks, a faint light of stars could be seen. The war hadn't ended. But somewhere out there, a new story had begun. One with love, survival, and the last light of Filari burning bright in the galaxy.